For years, we have witnessed the mistreatment and discrimination against Black people. Education, health, and the economy are somehow shaped in racial inequality. Because of this, we have witnessed police brutality and abusement against Black people. With the most recent killing of George Floyd by a police officer, the protest Black Lives Matter has gotten more attention. My friends have told me about their husbands and how their husbands get pulled over, and how one of my friends' husband got pulled over multiple times in Southern California for no specific reason. My mentor recently told me how she got pulled over by the police and they were making up reasons to give her a ticket. And it just shows how Black people are truly mistreated in this world and how we're seen as objects and we're seen as people that get into trouble. And so we just have to be aware of these things so we can have an impact and change the world. In my speech today, I'm going to be talking about why I chose to speak about racial inequality. I'm going to speak about an organization that advocates for racial equality and what we can do to help this. I chose to speak about racial inequality because it's something that we live in every single day. As a Black woman growing up in the United States, it's hard for me to find jobs, it's hard for education, and just simple things like driving around. It's so hard for me to do things peacefully and to feel like I have actual freedom. We seen back in May, a white male went into a predominantly Black grocery store and killed 10 Black elderly people. We seen how a man in Seattle threatened to kill a Black customer. We seen with George Floyd how he was literally strangled to death after he said that he could not breathe. We see these multiple killings. We see how children are getting killed in predominantly minority areas. There's so many problems in our society that happens every single day and nothing's being done. There's tons of organizations that advocate for racial equality. One of them is the NAACP, the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People. They're a civil rights organization founded in 1901, founded by Du Bois, Ida B. Wells, and so many others. It was created in response to all the violence against Black people and other races. Their mission is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. Another great thing about the NAACP is they really advocate for HBCUs, historically Black colleges, and they're a safe place and learning environment for Black people to come together and learn from each other. And they offer scholarships, grants, workshops, and training, which are really good things because these weren't always accessible to Black people. So we see this organization is not only for Black people, but for colored people to come together and to be able to grow together, to protest together, and to really advocate for equal rights in this society. What can we do? What we can do is choose to support racial justice every single day through protest and advocacy. And it could be as easy as promoting something on Instagram, promoting peaceful protests on Instagram, or just letting your followers know the things that are going on in our community so we can all come together and find a way to help and reunite. We have to use our voices, and we definitely have to use our voices if we have the privilege of using our voice, right? So if we're not people of color and we're aware of the privilege that we have to use our voice for the people who are not heard. If you're not Black, you also can educate yourself. Educate yourself on the things that are happening in our U.S. today. Be aware of the statistics. Be aware of when you're certain places and you see a Black person being discriminated. Put your phone out, record, or stand up for them. We really have to learn how to use our voices and come together and reunite as people and see each other as family. And last but not least, we have to have these deep and difficult conversations with one another. We have to speak about these things that are happening in our country, because this is the only way that we're going to be able to soon give Black people and people of color the freedom and the equality that they deserve. All in all, I included why I chose to speak about racial inequality. I spoke about the NAACP and what they do to help advocate for racial justice and racial equality. And lastly, I spoke about what we can do to help this social issue. And it's important that we speak about things like this, because this is something that comes up every single day. People are being discriminated every single day. Police brutality happens every single day. People are being pulled over every single day. People are being abused every single day. So these are things that we have to be aware of, so we could be aware of what others are going through. And so we could see, how can we help? How can I impact the world? What can I do to help this person who's going through this affliction or who's going through this abuse? And so I'm happy that I was able to speak about this topic today. And it's really opened you guys' eyes up to what's going on in the US today. And I thank you guys so much for listening.